Aloha, and welcome to another edition of Seniors Law Corner, a production of the Seniors Law Program supported by the Agency on Elderly Affairs. Today we're here for a twofold purpose. First of all, as the Seniors Law Program, we're here to talk about the legal issues that affect the senior community. And today we're going to be talking about a particular scam that is hitting the island. But we're also wearing a different hat today, and I want to talk a little bit about that. The Seniors Law Program has now become a part of the Kauai Elder Abuse Council. Okay, and that is a new organization that has been set up, once again under a grant from the area, the Agency on Elderly Affairs. And what it's been set up to do is try to work with the various players in the elder abuse community to try to better address the needs of our vulnerable adults by making sure that the agencies that are working together to provide the services necessary to protect our adults are actually communicating clearly. So many times the agencies that we're talking about, the police department, the prosecutor's department, the Department of Health, the AEA, the Adult Protective Services Department under a Department of Human Services, all have very, very full plates themselves. In order to set up the kind of communication that is necessary to work seamlessly, you have to find the time to do it, and many times the time simply isn't there. So we have set up, the J&B Foundation, which is my wife Brigitte and I, have set up the Kauai Elder Abuse Council as a means of facilitating that communication. One of the purposes of the Kauai Elder Abuse Council is to serve as an early warning center for scams, issues that are affecting the elderly in the sense of a sort of a storm goes through. There will be a group that will be marketing to seniors either on telephone, computers. Sometimes they're just going out door to door doing something with we're going to fix your driveway, or we're going to do something with your wall, or we're going to do something with your roof. And these guys are not always, because there are legitimate businessmen and women who do that sort of thing, but are often really just scam artists, people that are preying on the elderly, the people that may have some monies but are perhaps not as well equipped as many to protect themselves from these sorts of scams. And so today I'm going to be wearing the hat of both the Seniors Law Program and a partner of the Kauai Elder Abuse Council, and we're going to be talking about a scam that is hitting the community right now. And this particular scam is a mail scam, but what I want to do is I want to go over the sorts of things that, the clues that this particular scam provides, so you then can take a look at the next one that's coming down the line, and there will be, probably in your mailbox as I speak, another hustle coming in with someone trying to get money from you. Okay. The first thing we want to look at is the actual envelope. And a lot of these things you can make a determination initially on whether or not you're dealing with a reputable organization or not, simply by the envelope. In this particular case, we have an envelope, and I blocked out the name of the senior who received it, but we've received 6 of these at this point. So we know that these marketers, these male marketers, are targeting seniors on the island of Kauai. A brief word on how they do that. Your address in this computer age appears in all sorts of places, and people sell these address lists, and people steal these address lists. So if you have gotten on a list for Reader's Digest, if you've gotten on a list for purchasing perhaps a medical equipment, mobility assistance equipment, wheelchairs, canes, if you've purchased anything of that nature, you can get on a list. Okay, and that list can be either gotten either legally or illegally. And these hucksters then compile this list of folks that they feel they're going to target with this particular kind of hustle. Now, the hustle that we're talking about right now is the sweepstakes hustle. You have won. This is to tell you that you have won this amazing amount of money, and lucky you, and this is how you go claim that sort of money. We'll talk about some of the other kinds of targeted issues later on. But first of all, I want to talk to you about the envelope that it comes in. Now, a lot of clues can be given in the envelope itself. Now remember, when you open this up, this is going to be a notice that you have won some wonderful prize, a trip of sorts, usually large amounts of money. But taking a look at the envelope is very significant. Now, note over here that on this particular envelope, in this case, there is no return address. Now, there's a dead giveaway at that point. There's no return address. A reputable agency contacting you for any reason is going to have a return address on the envelope. Okay? Clue number one, no return address. You're dealing with someone who is to be not trusted. Okay? Now, in this particular one, we've got a foreign postmark, which is a little more difficult to deal with because we don't know where this particular postmark actually comes from, and we don't know the rules over there in that country. This particular one comes from Spain. Okay? And so we don't know. But a lot of these come from local postage, but it will be East Coast postage. Big clue, if it is a bulk mailing, okay, if the actual postage that's in the corner is a bulk mailing, you know that you aren't the lucky winner of $1 million because they sent out a bulk mailing telling hundreds of people that they were the lucky winners. So if you have a bulk mailing situation, you know right up front that this is not going to be anything that you actually won. This is, you are a part of a bulk issue. Now, I would think that this is probably a bulk mailing in Spain also, but I haven't done the research to take a look at that. I didn't need to because this particular hustle is so clumsy. But even before you open the envelope, you've got a clear indication that this is not what it should be. Okay. And this particular one starts out with a winning notification letter. Once again, let's take a look at the winning notification letter. You will notice that on this letter, I didn't have to block out anything because the individual's name does not appear on the letter. Okay? It says in a very personal way, attention prize beneficiary. Okay? This is not going to be the way you are going to be addressed if you have actually won a significant amount of money or they are approaching you individually. Quite frankly, this is a rather clumsy hustle because there are computer hustles now that make it very, very easy to make the letter actually appear to be personalized. Your name will actually appear as the addressee on many, many of these hustles. This is a low-budget hustle. They weren't even doing that. They were putting attention prize beneficiary. You can also take a look at the reproduction value of the letter itself. Is this a Xerox copy or is this original? In this particular case, the actual letter that was received by my client was indeed already a Xerox copy. So you know that this is not an individualized thing. This is a very, very cheap mailing. Now, understand that not all the hustles are like that. Many, many of these will have your name emblazoned right up there in the addressee, and it will be an original. Okay? So don't get the idea that just because your name is on it and it is an original that it is valid. No, it's not. It's just in this particular case, they didn't even get that far. then you have to start taking a look at exactly what structure the letter had. Now, in this particular letter, it's from the president, okay, of this particular company. You don't have the president's name up front, although on the bottom of the letter it says it's from Professor R. Isabel, who alleges to be the president of this El Gordo lottery. Okay. Once again, you don't have a whole lot of specifics address issues. I ran up this particular address on the internet because you can at that point, and found nothing. There was nothing from there at that point. There is a website also. Be very careful about websites being reflective of reality. And this really goes to the seniors who aren't new at computers, not the kids who are coming up. But the old folks like me, the 60s and plus, okay, computers came in later on in their life. We are geared to think of people producing advertising as having real identities. The fact is, anyone of moderate skill can spend a couple of weeks with various computer software programs and put together a site that makes them look like a reputable company. They can have logos, they can have links to other sites, they can have good, valuable information, they can have professional-looking graphics. So you can pick up the El Gordo lottery site, and it could look just like American Savings or Bank of America or Wells Fargo or any amount of other legitimate businesses. And that can be absolutely nothing but air. You don't need a brick and mortar location to create a computer site. I have done hustles, I have done the investigation on hustles in which you had a building that is shown in the background, corporate headquarters and an address. Okay? You take a look at the corporate building and you find it is in stock photography. It is indeed a building, it does exist, but it has no relationship to these guys. But they just take it without the signage up the front. Or with even relatively unsophisticated software, they can actually put a sign on it that says that this building exists and it's their building. And it's a lie. Lying is easier on the internet, and it looks very special. I had a lady who came into my office, and we're going to get back to this in a second, but who had been taken literally for everything that she had. And she had had a considerable amount of money. When she was 75, she had a considerable amount of money. And by the time she was 82, it had basically all been taken from her by a series of hustles. Understand that these guys had this team of camaraderie in being scoundrels. And they will share the lists and the hits and the pigeons. Okay, and they'll sell it for money. So this lady had been hit with another scam and another scam and another scam. And she was the kind that would open up her checkbook and write checks for $20,000, $25,000. And so the scams that were attacking her weren't these very cheap scams. They were very nice paper, well done. Cost probably $1 or $2 to put the actual brochure together and produce each and every one of them. The scoundrels had determined that this was that this lady was in that pool of people they would take advantage of that actually had money, and it was worthwhile doing a more sophisticated hustle because there was a bigger payday at the end. And she was in my office, and she's saying, well, look, I pulled it up on the internet, and they sent me this, and look, they sent me this, and look how polished it is, and they have an address, and they have a website. You know, I believed what they said. I talked to the lady. She was very nice. I had her in 4 or 5 times over the years, always after she had already sent the monies out. And what I did was I created, while she was sitting there, a marvelous letterhead indicating that I, James Michael Ratcliffe, was the Duke of Windsor. Okay? And I put little things on the side, heraldry issues, and there were the little dragons blowing fire, and I had some gold on the sides, and I had a photograph, and I had a palace in the background, and I wrote her, and then I printed it out, and I gave it to her, and I said, let me assure you, I am not the Duke of Windsor. But in 15 minutes, I've been able, while you were sitting there, to create this very glossy, flashy-looking piece of paper that says, I am the Duke of Windsor. It is a lie. Just because it's on paper, just because it's on the internet, doesn't mean it's true. It's a lie. And I had her actually post that on her refrigerator. And whenever anyone was calling her or anyone was doing that, I suggested, go there and look at that. Know that I'm not the Duke of Windsor, and before you do anything else, contact us. That finally stopped the bleeding, but by that point she was almost not worthy of hustling anymore anyway, because she had literally given all of her monies away. Let's go back to this particular lowercase hustle. Okay? It has a winning notification in it. It says that this particular person has won 615,000 euros, okay? Which translates, they say, to 16,600,000, to a cash prize of millions of dollars, okay, in American money. Now, to begin claiming your money, okay, you have to contact an agent. This is a Mr. Martin Perez, the Foreign Services Manager of Tivoli Security Company. There is a telephone and there is a fax, okay? Then there is a very telling sentence. Remember, all prize money must be claimed not later than the 30th of January 2012, and be informed that 10% of your winnings belongs to Tivoli Security Company because they are the promotion company that bought your ticket and played the lottery on your behalf. So, right up front, they're telling you they want 10% of your winnings because they put your name in the lottery. See, that takes care of the situation of people who say, gee, I never put my name in the lottery. How could I have won? Well, you're going to win because your name was put in. It was randomly chosen and was put in by these guys who want 10% of your winnings. But they're only going to give you that 10% after you've already received in your bank account the first payment on your winnings. How they do that is this. The bank they're going to draw the money on, okay, is going to be a Spanish bank. When you deposit a Spanish bank amount of money, unless you do some various issues with the bank, you are going to have reflected in your account a particular amount of money, $20,000 from this Spanish bank. There's usually going to put a hold on those particular funds. That's usually what's going to happen. Not always. but usually that's going to happen. And the senior will be informed of that, but they see the receipt that's given to them by the counter that they have $20,000. Now, all they have to send is $20, $200 to these guys. They've already got $20,000, and they've got the piece of paper that shows they've got $20,000. Well, the reality is they wire the $200 because that's what it's called for, wiring the $200, and then the check doesn't clear. The bank takes back the $20,000, and the $200 that you wrote to them clears. Because it's a wire transfer, it instantly clears. They get $200, they've given you a bad check for $20,000, you're stuck. It happens every single day. It's exactly what would have happened to this guy had he gone through with this particular thing. Now, it's very, very interesting that they also say that your fund has been insured in the name and deposited to a bank. Due to false practices, we ask that you keep the award information strictly from public notice until your claim has been processed and money remitted to avoid double claiming or unwarranted abuse. So, don't tell anybody about this. Beware. Anybody says this is a secret, don't tell anybody, it's strictly prohibited, they are hustling you. If you win a cash award, there is no need to keep it strictly confidential. It might be wise if it's some monstrous issue, but the whole purpose of this prohibition is so you don't have several eyes on this document. You don't have your kid, you don't have your wife, you don't have your husband, you don't have your pastor, your financial advisor, your accountant, your attorney looking at this thing. Because if they do and they start pushing, the hustle is going to become apparent. Let's take a look at their payment processing form. This is also full of clues that things aren't as they should be. First of all, they are giving you a blank form in which you are being asked to provide your international bank account number, your SWIFT code number, your routing number. As a part of applying for this particular winning issue, you are to give them all the numbers they need to access your account. Right there. It's also interesting that this particular one has confidential on both sides. You'll notice they are a little confidential on both sides. And they want you to complete the form and fax it back and then call the amount. So they're not wanting to deal with the mail at this point because, you see, mail gives time. What they're wanting to do is have you fax it back to them or call them and get it rolling quicker. The quicker they can make this, the better chance you're not going to run this by somebody else. Once again, nothing in this particular payment actually shows you where you're going to it and what the business is. And it's really unclear as to how this happened in any case. General rule. If you are told that you have won lots of money, God, I hope you have. I wish that I win lots of money someday. Do not do anything with that notification until you have gone over it with a friend, a professional, someone who knows what they're doing. Not just a fishing buddy, okay? But someone who is aware of the law. Banker, attorney, accountant, okay? Someone who is going to be able to take a look at these particular things and look for the clues. If you have a question that the particular document is or is not really a winning issue, you can call the Seniors Law Program, 246-8868, the Seniors Law Program, 246-8868. We're here for exactly that kind of thing. For heaven's sakes, don't come in late like that poor lady who made regular appointments with me after she'd already filled out the forms and sent them all out. It's too late. You know, you don't check your hamburgers after they're already burned. You got to do it before. Okay? So this particular Spanish hustle is hitting the island right now. We've got at least 6 of them in there. One of the guys very nearly filled out the form and sent it out. It was just very, very lucky that there happened to be a INR worker from the AEA who was at the house, and he asked her about it, and then she processed it over to me. Then we received 3 or 4 others. These hustles are like storms. They hit the island, they get what they need, and then they blow on to the next place. Once it becomes common knowledge in the community that this is happening, then the hustle doesn't work anymore. So the purpose of this is to, number 1, school you on this particular hustle. Okay? Don't let anybody you know have any belief that this is anything other than a scam to get seniors money. It is. It's absolutely upfront a hustle, and it's a relatively clumsy hustle. Number 2, make sure that you get the word out on these sorts of things. You see this show, you just don't keep it to yourself. You go to your church, you go to your social club, you go to your bowling group, whatever it is, and you talk about this so somebody else doesn't bite. Number 3, take a look at the clues, the postage mark, whether or not there's a return address, whether or not it's an original, was it addressed individually to you, okay? You need to take a look at those situations and make sure up front that it's a hustle. And a lot of those, if you do those simple investigations, you're going to put them in the trash can because they're going to be a hustle. If after that, there's still a question in your mind that says, I wonder, you know, there are people who win these things. At that point, you call somebody who works with paper and finance and make sure you go over everything with them beforehand. And if you don't have one of those folks in your family situation, or even if you do and you want a second opinion, you call the Seniors Law Program at 246-8868. And we will go over this with a fine-tooth comb. And by God, if you've won some money, we will wish you well and hope that you give us a donation. But the reality is that probably you're going to come in and we're going to take a look at it, and we're going to show you where it falls down. We're going to do some internet investigation. We're going to explore what's happening before you give out your vital data. Be careful, guys. You've got people that are there to help you. The Seniors Law Program is there. The Agency on Elderly Affairs is there. The Adult Protective Services are there. The Police Department is there. There's lots of people that you can go to before you expose yourself to these kind of crooks. They're scoundrels, they're crooks, they're mugging you, they're taking your money, they're just doing it with paper instead of a gun. But it's just as ugly. Well, thank you for listening. Once again, I'm James Michael Ratcliffe, the Managing Attorney at the Seniors Law Program. And until we come back for another Seniors Law Corner, aloha and be vigilant.